Hey everyone, welcome to the LYB Podcast. I am here with my special guest, Rondell Clark, the man himself, Face It Fitness. So if any of you guys have seen my Move Fit event that I just had like a few weeks back, we were just like jamming out in his studio, and that was your elite,
yes.
Right? So you got two now.
Yes, we have Face It Fitness is a personal training studio where we do primarily individual and small group training, and then Elite Athletic Training is more of our group fitness and speed and agility.
Yeah, I liked it. And it's right beside each other, like right there in that same strip. That was awesome.
To go back and forth.
Yeah, for sure. But no, I loved it. So that is who we're speaking with today. And so me and Rondell met, I mean, it's been like, what, 4 years ago?
Yeah, at least.
Yeah. So we talked about this the other day. It really it hasn't felt that long, but it has felt that long.
That Facebook memory keeps me up to date.
Yeah.
And that's when I sent you that pic the other day from the first time I went over to do your Killer Core class in Franklin.
Yes, that was awesome. That was when I was training. For those of you that don't know, in Franklin, back in the day when I first started my business about 4.5 years ago. It wasn't till 2020. So over a pandemic year that I let go of that Franklin studio and was all in Nashville. So even since then, I feel like so much has happened. But yeah, with both of our brands. And so, I know for me, I'm getting ready to prepare for this, bodybuilding show, and it's August 20th.
Which I'm excited about for you. I think you're going to kill it.
Thank you. I'm excited too. I think it's going to be great. And I'm going to do the wellness division. So a lot of my people who are listening, I have all people from all walks of life, but truly, I've tried to explain bodybuilding, and try to explain the wellness and stuff like that. But, it's kind of like with strongman. Honestly, I didn't explain strongman right until probably a year into it. You know what I mean? Like, cause I was just showing up to competitions, and that's kind of what I do. Is like, I just like,
you want me to flip this? You want me to lift that?
Yeah.
Got it.
But that's exactly right. Like, I am more of a doer, like, especially even when we would be in training, Blake and Matt would be like, hey, well, so this is 375. I was like, no. I don't even know. We don't have to calibrate it. We don't have to like go to kilograms to pounds. Like, I don't care. Just tell me how many times I'm lifting it. And that's just how I roll. You know what I mean?
And I think that's the beauty of bodybuilding. You don't have to always go by numbers. Like, I don't have to have a percentage of my max. I don't have to go 70% of this, 70% of that.
Right.
Like, I'm working specific muscles. I'm trying to build my body to look a certain way.
Yes.
The numbers aren't as important because we're not lifting for strength per se. You just have to look strong realistically. Like,
right. Yeah.
That's just it. You just have to look strong.
Yeah. And I think that that's kind of the negative side of it, though, that like what I had always seen and what people had always told me was like that these people just like look strong, but like weren't really strong. But I mean, from what I have seen or people I choose to follow, they are doing, I mean, they are strong too.
Oh, absolutely.
And so that was kind of how I wanted to take that approach of like, well, people already know I'm strong. So it's not like I'm just like looking aesthetically, like that.
But it's a different kind of mental toughness too. Like, it's a different kind of mental strength that you have to have when you're bodybuilding, because I think there's a lot more to it. I mean, you're getting into it now where you're hitting the cardio. I don't know if you're hitting 2-a-days yet.
No.
Cardio, but
there
may come a point where you have to hit 2-a-day cardios on top of your workout.
Yeah.
So to be able to do all that and try to balance that with your normal life and business and family and everything else, that's where it becomes like a mental strain.
Well, and with both of us owning our own business, I mean, and like you have a family and everything like that. So I just gotta worry about myself, but so which is great for me. But it's one of those things like I can't even imagine being responsible for like others, because even with my clients, I feel like I'm responsible for them. Right. So, I mean, it is such a mind, thing, because for me, it's like, I don't know. I guess the hardest part of this for me is like we just did our Get Your Movement In challenge, and it went really well. And obviously I wasn't like competing against my clients, but I always do it just to be like supportive and whatever. And I was doing this anyway. And Blake and me competed, which, by the way, if you listen to the last week's episode, then you know that I won. So I'm just saying, I told him I was going to go on a Monday, and he was like, no, the deadline was like, you cheater. Cause like the deadline's like Saturday. And I was like, so I got up at 5 a.m. on Saturday, went in, and you know what I did? I sent him like 20 videos of me being like, guess what I did, and I was like, I won, whatever. And I was like, you made me this way. This was you. Anyway. And so it was just awesome. But it was a good feeling because I put on muscle, like actually put on the past 10 weeks, put on muscle, lost like 10 pounds of fat, went down 4% body fat, like metabolic rate went up really fast, which has never been a thing for me. So clearly this type of training my body has taken really well to it, which has been great. I don't feel overtaxed or anything like that. But what's been the craziest part of it though is that like with the challenge, it was like, some of my people didn't see results. Right. And then they were just like, yeah, I just kind of was like, or it was like they maintained, which I still thought was great because again, you didn't go in the opposite way and like you didn't lose your consistency and you kept with your movement and you kept trying to get good food in. But it just may have been like small little things, like maybe not enough, or maybe, you didn't get enough sleep or stress or whatever. Right. So it's one of those things though, where for me, I'm like, I'm working so hard. And it's almost like hard not to be like, hey, you know what what I'm saying, right? And I don't, and I don't know. I don't know.
So Zala and I talk about that because she's about 6 weeks out from her competition. So she and I both got our natural. Zala's my wife, you guys that don't know. And we own the business together. She's also a personal trainer.
Yeah.
And we both became all natural bodybuilding pros. Me in men's physique and her in women's figure.
That's awesome.
In 2019. So she's gearing up for her first pro show.
Okay, cool.
Coming up here in a few months. So for you guys that are not familiar with the bodybuilding world, with all natural shows, we have to take a lie detector test the night before the show just
so
to
intense,
compete.
Yeah.
You have to pass that. And then if you win the show, you actually have to get a drug test immediately, like the guy standing at the edge of the stage with the cup, like come with me, I'm following you to the bathroom.
That's like not a celebration I want to have, like
so you're like, all right. Go ahead, you can put your trophy right here, come follow me over here. But I love it because it maintains the integrity of the sport to where they follow the similar guidelines to the Olympics and things like that. So they're very serious about the things you can and cannot use. So, basically what it does is it puts you on a level playing field.
Yes, 100%.
If you're not willing to do all the extra and put all the extra stuff in your body that you don't want, that's going to affect me in a negative way in the future. So she's gearing up for that. So, what we talk about is with some of our clients is the inability of them to be able to have excuses,
right?
Because she is a full-time mom.
Yes.
Our kids are in all sports. We have 4 kids in sports, 1 in college sports, so we have to travel to her sports.
Wow.
She's a full-time business owner,
right?
Owning 2 businesses and having to do all that.
Yeah.
So I see her up at 3:30 in the morning.
Oh yeah.
Doing cardio just to make sure she can get her fasted cardio in.
Right.
It's just a matter of, is this something that you want? Are you committed to it?
Right.
Or are you interested in it? And that's one of the big differences that people don't get.
Yes.
So that puts in perspective that she's committed to it because she's willing to go and do all the extra that it takes, regardless of her falling asleep at 9 o'clock at night when we get home and the kids lay down and it's like immediately like,
I'm
she's out.
Right.
And that's okay because she has this goal and she has a why. And one of her biggest whys is not because she wants her clients to be able to compete.
Correct.
But more so just normal life goals.
Yeah.
Like, I was too tired. Oh, I had to work last week. Oh, the kids had games. And she's like,
there's always an excuse if you find one.
Absolutely. And she's like, well, my kids had games. I had to do this. I had to do that. So she uses that as motivation to push her because she doesn't want them to be able to have those excuses and use those excuses. And she has a group of ladies that she works out with as well. And all of them are in big time support of her and what she's doing, but it also keeps them motivated because they are challenging themselves and pushing themselves, kind of like your Move Fit challenge that you just did, like a group of ladies just coming together, and now they're continuing on.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And we had men, we had women, with people not in the States, not around here. And it was really cool to see, people that weren't clients, people that were clients, who progressed, who stayed, kind of the same. But nobody went backwards, which was my goal and which was awesome. And everybody put forth an effort, which was great. But it's one of those things where it's like, it's almost like, yeah, holding back, kind of like not trying to get sassy. Cause again, their goal is different. You know, it is like their goal is to be a realistic, healthy lifestyle regimen. And that is what I have set them up on. And that is their programming. But it is that fine line of it's still excuses, you know, and I hate that. Cause again, like, you know, I feel like I've made excuses sometimes and whatever. And I'll tell Doug all day long, like, I'm like, hey, like, there are things that are priority and then there are things that are not, you know, and I want to make this a priority. But like my back health, like, is most priority. So I'm not going to sit here and do Jefferson's or whatever that was. You know what I mean? Because my back was wrecked for like a week. Like, so I have to be more meticulous. So like maybe my glutes are like not going to grow at the rate that they're supposed to, you know what I mean? But it's because like I am physically not able to do
some of the exercise.
Yeah, exactly. So again, it's like in my mind, I'm like, to me, that's not an excuse. That's me keeping this way so I can like continue to keep moving forward. And so it's really finding that balance of like, what is an excuse and what's not. Like, oh, is my back hurting and I don't want to do those stairs, or like, you know what I'm saying? Like, or am I just freaking out for no reason or whatever? And I think as women, especially, we talk ourselves into so many things. Like we can, I mean, I literally could talk myself into having ice cream right now, you know, if I really wanted to.
That's people in general. Like, what I found for myself is when I competed a couple years ago, I prepped myself. I don't recommend that for anybody, including myself, especially as a coach when you are prepping other people. So every time I'm getting ready for a competition, I'm usually prepping other people. So I'm worried about their meal plans, my meal plans, their cardios, my cardio, everything else. So I ended up doing really well that way. But what ended up happening was like the priorities they had to shift, because at some point I had to like focus on myself and what I needed to do and what I had to get done.
Right.
And but what I found is it's not just women that makes those excuses, it's us. So when I found this year, while I'm trying to prep myself, it's like, man, I could really eat a burger.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, so today's a good day for a cheat meal.
Right. You're like,
and so, you know, we make those excuses too. And I did that myself. And so I had to step back and allow being a trainer to still have a trainer.
Right.
I actually used Doug a couple of different times as well, because I believe people like, yeah, but you're a trainer. Why do you have a trainer?
Yeah, but we said that like 4 years ago.
Yeah,
remember, like,
because I'm human.
Yes. and that's the thing is, I mean, like, it literally is the same thing for like people who are doctors still go to a doctor. Like they don't, you know what I mean? Like they still have to go. They're like, so I think that some people just put personal training on just like that pedestal sometimes, like, oh, you can just do it yourself. Like, but it's like, honestly, I just don't want to. You know what I mean? Like, and also with my back and stuff, like I want someone watching my form every second of the way when I do everything that I do.
And not trying in any way to put trainers on the same pedestal as a pastor or something. But people see a preacher and they're like, yeah, I saw the preacher cuss the other day. And like, he's not supposed to do that.
Right.
And it's the same way with us. It's like, yo, what you doing here at Five Guys? I'm getting a burger. And when I leave here, I'm going to Crumble Cookie.
Yeah. So I wonder how Zyla like feels about that too, because like for me, you know, I have dealt with like eating issues and stuff where I've like hidden my food, whether that was in my house or that was at the job I was at before, because everyone was always on me about what I was eating. And so it is one of those things of like, even I went to Tailgate Brewery or whatever, and I got pizza like, I don't know, months ago. But one of the trainers was like, hey, I saw or one of my clients saw you at a tailgate or something like that. And then he didn't tell me till like 3 months later. He was like, no, I was the client. Like I was there. I saw you. I was doing the same thing you were doing, but he kind of made me feel bad. Or he was trying to make me, you know, it felt like he was trying to make me, but he was really just joking around. But it was one of those moments of like, yeah, but I shouldn't have to explain myself that it was a cheat or it was a fun meal or however you want to describe it as, you know, my pre-carb, whatever. And I hate that. So it's like, I'm really trying to go at this in such a way that is truly in my version of like body positive fitness, like where the mentality is like, you know, it is going through it in a healthy way. And like when Doug talked about that, like in 10 weeks time, I feel like that was a healthy fat loss and a healthy, I mean, everything was good. Hormones are good, you know, and like just all this stuff. And that was what was important to me, not doing something ridiculous to where I'm like at this level so early on, you know what I mean? And crashing everything. And then I'm just like depleted and don't feel good and hate my life.
And people think that they're holding you accountable. Like, oh, you're not supposed to do that. So I'm just letting you know. I mean, my 6 and my 8-year-old the same way, you know, like, oh, you can't have that. You got a show coming up.
Yeah.
And but it's crazy because they understand. It's like, no, we're having a cheat meal day.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, I shouldn't have to explain to my 8-year-old that I can have
Yeah.
a cookie today.
Right. And I think that they see it though on some level on us, like they pick up on like how we are feeling about it, you know? And so that's hard. It is a hard thing to balance in front of everyone because you just want to be yourself, you know, like and that's like with my dad today. He was like, he said something like, yeah, like you and your mom go have lunch and like have a nice day. And, you know, the first thing that I'm like, I didn't say like, oh, I have a meal prep in the car. But I was like, yeah, I probably won't be able to get lunch with her, but like, I'm going to go do my podcast. So you know what I mean? But like, he just said it like he wasn't thinking anything of it. And he doesn't even really know what this is, you know, nothing about. He heard I was on Instagram in some bathing suit and was just like, what's that? You know what I mean? Like, he's like, I'm not in this. But they've learned to kind of deal with my crazy, you know, no matter what it is, if it's flipping a tire, if it's, you know, on stage in some heels. So, but yeah, but it is this, it's a stress thing though. Like it really is. And for me, I want to be like stress-free with this, but I will say too, like, I think that, I mean, I don't want to say the word deserve, right? But I believe that you should be able to put yourself first in terms of like, even as someone that people depend on, you have to be able to take care of your mental and your physical first. And so even like the other day, it's like I was running kind of behind and I knew that like I'd have to be working out while my new client would be warming up. Is that the best look, the most professional, me to be sweaty and disgusting, finishing up a workout while she's warming up and she can clearly like watch me? But then I was like, you know what? Like, I mean, I don't know what path she's on right now, but she clearly wants to work with me and she needs, you know, the inspiration and she needs the help and everything like that. So I'm going to make this as real as possible. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there drinking my shake while I'm training her. But again, it's like, that's what I have to do to be my best. And when I was rolling in, sleeping in, back in pain, couldn't really move my leg, you know, barely could bend down and stuff like that. Like I wasn't my best. So I may have been like not as sweaty and not as gross or, you know, more put together looking, like hair done, spray tan, whatever. But I wasn't mentally the best.
I tell my clients the same thing. Like, I'm really big on trying to get them to understand that you have to fill up your cup before you can pour out to other people.
Yeah.
And that's the best way that I can put it. If I continue to pour myself out into other people, at some point I'm going to be drained and I have nothing left to give.
Oh yeah.
So allow me the time to continue to fill my cup. That extra 5 minutes that you had trying to finish up your workout was what you needed to mentally be like, got it done.
Yes, 100%.
Now let's go.
Yeah.
And if anything, I think your clients, as they get more comfortable with you, they learn to understand.
Oh yeah.
And if anything, they'll take that and realize, like, use that as motivation.
Yeah.
That I really have to get this done.
Yeah, they do. And my ones that know, they really are looking at it, and there's been a good response to it, which has been great. But so tell me a little bit, because again, I haven't been on stage yet, and I haven't done a show. So you know, when you're talking about like, okay, the 2 days they're coming up, like the cardio and all that, and then you know, when you get closer to time, do you believe that the way that people do this, like the way that you have to be strict or whatever with your food and stuff, do you believe that the last like month or two, or I don't know how quickly it is, 2 weeks, whatever, like can be done in a healthy way?
Yes.
Okay.
But that's all coach dependent.
Right. Because I've been very clear with that with Doug, and have said that over and over again.
Yeah, you have to have the right coach. Doug's been doing this for a long time, so he understands that. I'm really big on getting you ready ahead of time.
Okay.
That's my approach to where we can cruise into those last 2 or 3 weeks. Now, I'll let them know those last few weeks is still going to be a little more miserable because we're trying to really get you to that point where you're going to be super tight, super lean, so you can be your best on stage.
Right.
But the goal is never to have you just like walking around like the Walking Dead.
Yes.
And if you're at that point, like if I have to get you to a certain point where you have to do more cardio than I want you to do, and then I think you should be doing, then I'll just let you know, like, you're not ready for this show. Let's push it back to another date.
Yeah.
And that's what all coaches should do.
Yeah.
Like, regardless of whether they're just adamant about it, like, no, this is the show I want to do. It's in this city, on this date. I'm going to be there. We're on it. And so I've let clients know, like, you're an adult. You can compete if you want. You're just not going to compete representing me as your coach.
See, and that's what's so crazy. So I know exactly what you're saying, because Blake said the same thing and trying to explain it to me. Because with Doug, like, we had this conversation, and I'm only giving him love, and like, just came from a workout, and it was great, you know. And but it was one of those things where I told him, I was like, hey, I wanted to do the June show, and he was like, yeah, I mean, like, we can maybe shoot for that, like that, right? And I was like, no, like, I really want to. I was like super adamant about it. And then he's like, yeah, I just don't think that, I think we're still getting into things, and whatever. And this is when, like, my body, because I don't know if I told you, but like, I didn't realize, and this is why it was good what he said, but this is why I try to be as not nurturing. That's not the right word, but as in it with my clients, because I'm in it with them. I am in it with you. Absolutely. I understand. So for me, it's like, but when I heard it from Doug, I kind of took it a little personal, but he said something like, well, if you're doing the plan right and you're doing whatever, like, I don't know what's going on. Because literally, like, because I was like, no, like, I literally am not, I'm doing everything right. And my weight was like barely going down. I'm like, bruh, what the heck, right? But it took him saying, like, hey, you're not going to be ready for the show, for me to be like, okay, something's off. What is off? And I had to go back through my days, and I had to look at my food, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was drinking this like MRE shake. Okay, that's like 550 calories, plus adding the Rice Krispies in it that he told me to, plus having like almond milk or whatever, when the plan clearly said an ISO whey protein or whatever was like 110 calories. And like, and again, I'm using these calories, guys, as like, so you can see a measure of the drastic change of what it was supposed to be. So literally, I'm getting like an 800 calorie and shake a day when I'm supposed to have like a 200 calorie shake a day. Okay, so about 600 extra calories 5 times a week equals, you know what I'm saying? Exactly. But yet I was still maintaining, but I wasn't losing, I wasn't gaining. But do you see? So that is where the inconsistency was. But for me, it was a shake.
Yes.
I got the shake in, right? But that is how drastic it can make or break your progress. Yes. So once I flipped that switch, because of him being quote unquote negative, when he was just like calling me out and me being like, I'm not doing anything wrong, it made me realize, like, oh shit, yeah, you're right. Nah, I was doing something wrong. But like, that was what I needed. So that's where, like, I think that with these challenges or with these, like, small term goals and stuff like that, and like seeing, it's like, okay, with this past 10 weeks, I'm like, wow, like, now there's actually changes being had, which is great. But so anyway, so what I told him was, I was like, hey, I'm doing the August 20th show, the National Fit Show. I was like, I already paid to sponsor it. I'm going to be a Body Positive sponsor for it. It's going to be great, whatever. And it's an all women show. So I'm excited for it, whatever. And he's like, yeah, like, I'll think about it. And I was like, that's awesome. But like, but I was like, but I'm doing it. And like, I'm so like, he hates me probably, but you know what I mean? But I was like, I get what you're saying, but we're seeing progress and we're doing good. And also, it's my name up there because I'm sponsoring it. Like, the logos everywhere, videos are going to be up there of me. Like, it's like a whole thing. So again, I was like, so I'm telling you, like, I'm in it, whatever you need me to do, like, let's go.
And what you're saying is, I'm committed to this show.
Yes.
And that extra 400, 500, 600 calories that I was consuming.
Yeah.
No, like, I'm on it. Like, I realize that I have to be more strict and really be on my game.
Yes.
And so I understand what you're saying there.
Yeah.
I think we, as coaches, as coaches, like I said, you're like, no, this is what I'm doing. So I've only got one client right now that is adamant about doing a show. Okay. She wants her first show to be very close.
Yeah.
But what it did was very similar to what you're saying. It flipped a switch from where now I have a date, I have a timeline, I have a goal.
Yes.
And we get that a lot with people like, oh, I got a wedding, I got the beach trip, I got this. And it's like, man, you've been training with me for like a year and a half now. And we just decided to do this show.
Yeah.
And
now things are going.
Like, everything is because you have a realistic goal and a timeline. And now her body's changing like drastically.
Right.
And I'm like, this is kind of where I expected you to be before.
Yes.
But all the little extra stuff you were doing, extra eating, drinks here and there, going out with the girls and eating and drinking.
It does make a difference.
It does. But so it wasn't just, when it comes to the show prep side of it, it's just a little more strict than just normal lifestyle and living a healthier lifestyle.
Yes.
And I think that's where people have to understand, especially when it's your friends
Mhm.
who are used to doing certain things. They're used to going to hang out with you. They're used to going,
Right.
hey, we used to go to lunch here on this day on this time.
Yeah.
But true friends, I think, will kind of get that understanding that this is a goal for her
Yeah.
or him, and I need to
For sure.
appreciate that and respect that and help them reach
Yeah.
that goal by not trying to,
Yeah.
oh, it's just one shot.
Oh
You can
yeah.
have one
Oh
shot.
yeah. Yeah. No, and I've and that's what's been great is like I do feel like everyone's been very supportive, but like, I never really go out anyway, like before this and stuff. So it wasn't like that was like a huge switch for me, but like I haven't been drinking, but that's been like a personal decision,
Mhm.
anyway, before we even decided on this. So again, it's like I am so goal oriented in it. Like with Strongman too, it was like, okay, by this time we gotta have this lift. Cool, got it. Like, so
Mhm.
I love that. And so I feel like that is my drive. And that's why I told him like this will hold me accountable
Mhm.
versus being like, oh yeah, we'll do a show sometime. It's like, cool, well then I can have pizza sometime. Like,
Mhm.
you know what I mean?
Oh,
Versus
absolutely.
being like, okay,
Absolutely.
I got this. So I really do feel good about that. So what so Zyla's shows in 6 weeks.
Yes.
And then when's your show?
I have not chose a date, which
Okay,
is why I'm still
okay.
like,
You're
which
still
is,
like thinking about the
and that's
hamburgers.
literally exactly what I
Okay.
said. So until I actually choose a date, and
Yes.
what I'm trying to do is to get a lot of my clients that are competing this
Uh-huh.
year on track. And I
Yes.
think we are right there to where everybody's kind of running a lot smoother.
Yeah.
So it is definitely time
Yeah.
for me to choose a date,
Right.
which is like our little cardio thing we got
Yeah,
going on,
yeah,
holding
yeah.
each other accountable. My goal was to kind of get more accountable with my
Yeah.
cardio.
For sure.
The lifting and everything was perfectly fine.
Right.
Eating had cleaned up a lot, but the cardio was like, no,
Right. Yeah.
no, it was something.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you ever get like people like just looking at you and being like, well, you don't need to do that? Or
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
yeah, I figured because for those of you that don't know, Rondell is like 6 foot something and like ripped abs and like lean. Okay, so that's how you've always been since I've known you.
But what's crazy is this off season I was the heaviest I'd been, and I felt like I had a decent off season. I put on some good size, some good muscle, but I'm about 269, 270 pounds.
Yeah,
at 6'4". But last 2 years ago when I competed, I was on stage at about 235,
okay, I see.
240. So I'm guessing on stage I will be around 240 this year.
Yeah.
So we're talking about 30 pounds.
Jeez,
so
I don't even understand.
So it's just the mental thought
Yes.
of how far I have to go.
Right.
That's stopping me from, because I think I don't want to, I'm not going to half-ass it.
Oh yeah.
And
Never.
So until I get to where I can flip that switch and everything rolls, I don't want to just try to do it.
Yeah,
and
100%.
try to get to that point. So I know me, and I know that once I do that switch will flip.
Yeah.
And it'll be like 100 miles an hour.
Yeah. No, I love that. And that's my whole thing too. Is like I think that being accountable and just having that, because like I don't really have anybody that's doing this. Everyone's looking up to me to say like, well, how is this? How it, whatever. And I'm like, I'm doing the best I can do and whatever. And so it is nice to have that. And it is never like a boastful thing of like, I just did this, you know what I mean? But it is that nice to just like send that to you and be like, got it in and whatever. Cause like I said, there are some days that I just really don't want to do it. But then I remember that I physically couldn't do it, like a year ago with my leg. So I try to be mindful of that.
And I do joke with you like, oh, you're trying to brag, huh?
Yeah.
Like I haven't gotten to the cardio yet at all.
No, you did like 1,000 the other day. I was like, oh my gosh.
Hold me accountable.
Which is good. And I think that is great. And so, and so Blake, I mean, like, so he lost the bet. So that means he's doing a bodybuilding show.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
That was the bet. Yes. So
are we talking about 2022?
I had said 2022.
Okay, so we're specific.
So it's probably gonna be like October, but I don't know when that's gonna work with Strongman. You know what I mean? But he'll probably find a way out. But I'm like, no, like you're the one that does. Trent knows. Trent is my witness. Like he said, he was like, all that. Oh, what are we doing? What's the bet? What's the whatever? Like, So anyway, so it's just funny. But so hopefully we'll be able to have that too. where I can be like, hey, do you cardio, whatever.
Yeah.
And just sending that. But that's why, and like, that's a big thing too, why I do a lot of my photos and my pictures and videos stuff. Like I know that other people, they have a hard time with that. But for me, it's like from the first day that I decided 9 years ago to start my healthy lifestyle, I literally was taking selfies, being like, oh yeah, I just got, even if it was on Snapchat, Instagram, whatever. I was like, just got my run in, like dying, like 3 months, 3 miles later. But I felt, good about that. And that helped me to be like, okay, check. And like, and I have my highlight reel so I can go back and be like, okay, how consistent was I? Like, and to look at all that. And so that really has helped me, and also to help me love my body throughout versus how, like I told, Whitney, who's the head, the person who's been on the National Fit Show and everything, like that. I want to showcase this, of everything, because I don't want to just be like, oh, glow up. You know what I mean? Like transformation, because again,
just slap a picture out there like,
well, yeah,
here it is.
Because I love my body how it is right now, but I loved it how it was, 20 pounds ago too. And I loved it, and I loved it strongman. I loved it that journey. I loved it dance. Like I love it in different aspects. So I want to continue to keep that going, but always remind people that it is not about the destination when we get to the show. It is all the work before. And so I really want to do it in the right way, in the right mindset, and not let it get to that. So if you have any advice before we, end here today, like if you have any advice on how to not let it get to that negative part that you hear about so many people getting to.
I've had reversing is probably going to be the biggest challenge for a lot of people, especially if you've had health issues in the past or eating issues in the past and things like that, because you're going to joke around and tell people like, so say we train for this show and you decide at the last minute not to do it. Worst case scenario, you get in the best shape of your life.
Right.
You're going to be probably as lean as you ever been if you're going that route. However, a lot of people don't realize that stage lean is not real life lean.
Right.
And they see themselves at this point and they get so many compliments because of where they are at that point. But what I try to really preach throughout prep is, especially when we get to a point that's really healthy and something I feel they can maintain, I really push that this would be a great look for the off season for you.
See, and I love that. Yeah, that's what I'm waiting for Doug to say.
And that's not 2 weeks out.
Right. Yeah, 100%.
I'm talking about maybe 8 weeks out, 10 weeks out, something like that. But we're a point where I'm like, this is a normal, healthy body fat for you.
Yeah.
This is a normal, and not even weight, because I'm not real big on weight.
Yeah,
I'm more, this is where your body fat should be for you to have the look that you want to have.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is where we're going to try to stay in the off season.
Yeah.
We're going to push for the show and we're going to try to get to where we need to be for the show. But in the off season, we're going to reverse back to about where you are now.
Right.
And so if anything, my biggest advice to you and anybody that tries to compete is simply reverse out, follow your coach's directions as far as reversing back out to a normal, healthy weight.
Okay.
And because that is where you're going to feel healthier.
Yes,
as
for sure.
As opposed to thinking, well, man, like I could fit this, like when I was 2 weeks out, I could fit this. Or you're like, man, that bikini is getting tighter and tighter. Like I'm putting it on, trying to go through my posing routine and all that. The stage lean is not real life.
Right.
And you look at, and I'll tell them, look at these pros.
Yeah.
The people you're looking up to on Instagram that are doing these shows or wherever, like the people that you're idolizing, like that's how I want to look on stage. And you're like, that's cool on stage.
Right.
But now look at her
regular.
Yeah. Look at
different.
her 6 months ago and see where she was. She wasn't this lean year round.
For sure.
And you don't have to be this lean year round.
Yeah.
And you're still going to look great because your body is going to look completely different at the end of this too.
Right.
Your shoulders are going to look different. Your glutes are going to look different. Like your shape will be different because you've built your body to look a certain way.
Yeah.
And that's where you're going to be at that point. So
if you, I know you've, I love that. Thank you for that. But if you, or looking at like the wellness division, and because you've got girls ready for wellness, right? Is there kind of a, because with like strongman, we're a weight class. That's how you would compete. And I know this is by height, right? But is there like kind of a weight with like certain or body fat percentage that people try to?
You're trying, and the body fat percentage is different per person.
Okay.
Really, it's just all about a certain look.
Yeah.
They want you to be in wellness. They're going to want you to be
Yeah.
lean, but not to the point where you're veiny.
Yes.
So, like, say you drop down to bikini. Bikini girls are lean, but they don't want you. They want you to still have that softer feminine look.
Right.
Even though you see some of the girls like, man, her shoulders are amazing. Her
Right.
arms, her glutes.
But they want it to be soft.
They still want it to be as soft and more feminine. Whereas let's bump all the way up past figure, which then you have wellness, and then you have women's bodybuilding or women's physique, and then women's bodybuilding, where they're going to be a lot leaner than a bikini or a wellness competitor.
I see.
So we want, and I also am a judge for the OCB. That's the
nice. Yeah, the Memphis one.
There's a Memphis show, but the OCB is excuse me. It's the natural organization that I'm a pro in.
Got it.
So when I won my pro card, I love the side of prepping people. And then I started being a judge, and I've judged about 4 shows. So I get to actually, and the reason I wanted to be a judge was because I love the critique part at the end, because people come and they look for their feedback after the show. What can make me better? And I felt like a lot of judges don't give real honest feedback. And
I feel like you'd be great for that.
And that's where I come in, and I'll let them know, like, I had you at this place.
Yeah.
No matter where they finished, this is where I had you. I may have had you at second. I may have had you at third. But I felt like if you would have been just a little leaner, or if you would have been a little softer, if you were your glutes, work on your glutes specifically. Your shoulders weren't capped enough, whatever it is. And I wanted to give more honest feedback.
That's great.
So that's why I started doing the whole judging thing.
Yeah, let me know the next show you judge for sure. I'll make sure to slide on in there, Then,
but the wellness division specifically, they focus a lot on your legs. So it came about because a lot of bikini girls, a lot of women couldn't get their legs small enough to be in that bikini class. And then their backs couldn't get wide enough, because with the figure girls, you kind of have to have that wide back. And that's where Zala excels when she turns around. And she flares her lats. It's just like, poof, like wings. And so with the wellness girls, they focus a lot more on the glutes and the legs, the quads, etc. That you're gonna have bigger, stronger legs. Strong. And I think that's when you told me you're doing wellness. I was like, yes, that's exactly what I would have. Well, that's what I would have put you as well, because I think you're gonna excel in that. And I think that's what strongman actually helped you. You know, lifting those heavy weights for so long, and
for sure,
I think that's going to help you big time.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it. I'm so excited. Hopefully, you guys can be there. Cheering me on and everything. And yeah, it'll be epic.
I've heard that's one of the best shows too. So you picked a good one. And I've heard that from my own clients, talking about everything from how they took care of you backstage, the show, the fairness and the judging, everything. So, Whitney, you've done a phenomenal job, and that's not me trying to gas you up.
Yeah, so no, she has. And so I'm excited. And I went there a year ago to try to like manifest being there, how I would feel, how people were in the crowd, how the girls were on stage, you know what I mean? Like all of it, the sponsors, everything. So I definitely think Danny Fitness is going to bring another element, but also, Danielle Dyer is going to bring an element that's going to be great too.
That's going to be phenomenal for your brand. Especially when you go up there and you kill it. So
thanks. Well, awesome having you today. Thank you so much, Rondell. I'm super excited to continue to watch your businesses flourish and grow as you are here in Murfreesboro, and just growing the community and doing things in what I would say a great way that you don't see a lot of trainers doing. So keep it up the good work.
Awesome. I want to finish with, I guess I should have probably said this earlier, is that I'm actually promoting a show this year.
Oh, okay.
We just had to change locations, but it's going to be on September 3rd. It's an OCB show called the Vol State Classic. And it is a natural show with the OCB. So you'll have to go through the whole lie detector test and all of that.
That's
so, but they just started wellness this year.
Oh, okay.
in that specific organization. So it's going to be phenomenal. It was a great show last year, but some things that need to be tweaked, and they
Yeah.
wanted somebody local to promote it. So
Awesome.
I'm kind of gearing up and finishing up all my stuff for that. So
Heck yeah.
I'm gonna probably need some little Danny D packets for my swag bag.
Okay, we got it. Yeah, just let me know what you need. I would love that.
Awesome.
That sounds good. We want to bring some body positive fitness to this sport for sure. So awesome. All right, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All good. Thank you. And then Trim, will you take a picture of us real